everybody, and welcome to Music Minutes with Mrs. Cash. We'll dive into today's lesson on rests and solfege in a minute, but first, did you know music helps develop language and reasoning skills? The part of your brain that processes language and reason also processes music. Actually, music works all parts of your brain. What a cool thing! Actively using your brain through music keeps your skills sharp. Keeps your skills sharp. Get it? That's a musical joke. If you don't get it now, you'll get it when you finish general music. Go music! Now let's get to today's lesson on rests and solfege. We talked last week about notes and how they tell us how long to make a noise, and eventually they'll tell us what noise to make. So we need to add to that some silence, because if music just made noise all the time, it would drive us crazy. The silence in music is represented by something called rests. It means just that. Stop and take a pause. Now, we do need to know that those rests have to stay in the beat that we're trying to keep. They take the same number of beats as the notes get. They just represent silence. Let's take a look at the whiteboard and explain that a little further. Last week, we talked about notes. This week, rests, the silence in music. Each of the rests we're going to look at kind of is a brother or sister or sibling to one of the notes we learned last week. Let's start with the big note, the one that's just an empty head. Do you remember what it's called? That was a whole note. It got 4 beats. The rest, that is also called a whole rest, looks like this. Kind of like to think of it, it's also 4 beats, kind of like to think of it as if you were walking along the road, you'd fall in a hole. A whole rest, you can kind of think of it as a hole that way to help you remember that you'd fall into it, the whole rest. Anyway, whole note 4 beats, 4 beats of sound, whole rest 4 beats of silence. If I were going to do musical math with those 2 symbols, I could make a musical math problem and then I would just add it up. 4 beats of a whole note plus 4 beats of silence would be 8 beats. Part of it's silence, part of it's sound. All right. The next rest we're going to look at, I bet you know the name of it. It's a half rest. Half rest and a half note both get 2 beats. Now, there's a confusion sometimes with beginning musicians between the half note and the eighth note. You remember the eighth note from last week? The eighth note got half a beat. The half note is called a half note. Your brain really wants to say half note must be half a beat because it's half. It's not. We've got to remember that the pizza pie pattern with the whole pizza, the whole note, and then we cut that in half. The whole is 4, half of it's 2. It's a little confusing until you get the hang of it. Anyway, back to the rest. A half rest looks just like a whole rest turned upside down. Looks like a hat. Totally looks like a hat. Half rest gets 2 beats, just like a half note gets 2 beats. If I were going to musical math those 2 beats of sound plus 2 beats of silence still equals 4 beats. Those rests count as beats as well. Now, let's move on. The next note, I don't even have to erase my half note. I've got to do something to it to show a quarter note. What would I do to that half note to turn it into a quarter note? Something's not right. That's right, I need to fill in its head. Now it's a quarter note and it gets 1 beat. The quarter rest is difficult to draw. It's kind of a squiggle thing. And it can be frustrating to draw. It doesn't look like anything like the hat and the hole. So I like to show it this way. If you take and draw a Z and then attach a C to it, you get a nice looking quarter rest. Let's try that again. Here's the Z. Then we start where we stopped with the Z and we draw a C, and we'll get a pretty good quarter rest. Quarter rest is 1 beat. Musical mathing that, what would it be? 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 beats. Okay, now I'm going to leave my quarter note there, and we're going to look at the smallest note we looked at last week. The 8th note, E, I, G, H, T, H, 8th note. Half a beat. What do I do to this quarter note to make it an 8th note? I add the flag on the top. 8th rest, pretty easy. 8th rest kind of looks like a 7. 8th rest gets half a beat because an 8th note gets half a beat. If I were to musical math that, what would it be? It would be like 2 TTs, TT together would be 1. So let's take a little bit of time now and draw a chart that shows all the notes that we've learned so far and all the rests that are their siblings. Let's make a little chart. Notes. If you have a piece of paper, you could write this down. It's good practice. Or you can just watch along. Notes, rests, and I'm going to put beats in the middle because we just learned that they have the same beats. So in fact, let's write the beats down first. 4, 2, 1, 1/2, because we know that's what they're going to be. Start with that whole note. Empty head equals 4 beats. The whole rest looks like a hole that you could fall into if you were walking along. Half rest, excuse me, half note, 2 beats. Half rest looks like a hat. Quarter note, 1 beat. Quarter rest, Z, C. 8th note, half a beat. 8th rest looks like a 7, also half a beat. So there's a nice chart for you that you could pin up on your bulletin board or just have around if you copy this down. And it's a quick reference guide for when you're doing musical math or trying to figure out how we're reading music when we start putting this all together.
Why did the singer climb a ladder? Because she wanted to reach the high notes. Roar!
What'd you think of that one? What can I say? Love my crazy music jokes. Let's continue on with the second part of today's lesson. It's something called solfege singing. Solfege singing is a method developed by a man, a musician and a teacher named Zoltan Kodály in the early 1900s to help students learn music. In fact, in elementary school, if you learn to count your rhythms in TT and ta-ah and ta-ta-ta and using the TTs and the tas, that's actually part of the Kodály method for learning music. So we're just going to expand on that a little bit and use the part of the method that Mr. Kodály developed to help us learn how to sing and feel the notes in our voice. You may have heard some solfege singing in the movie The Sound of Music, where they are singing the song about doe, a deer, a female deer, ray, a drop of golden sun. That song is a way to help those kids learn solfege and learn their music by putting it to a cute little song. We're going to use some hand signs. We'll start singing the solfege scale, which is an 8-note pattern, just to familiarize us with the hand signs. Try to follow along with me. Here's the first one. It looks like a fist, just kind of flat. If you're being very careful, you would do it right about waist level. And that would be do. Okay, so there's do. The next symbol is re. Then mi, fa, so, la, ti, pointing up, and do again, because the first note and the last note, you're going to notice will sound kind of the same. Now let's try it slowly, just watch me this time, with the notes. It would sound like this. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And going back down would be do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Let's try that together. Ready? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Back down. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. How'd that feel? It's a little weird to do the hand signs that you haven't done before. Maybe some of you did do them in elementary school. It's a good thing to practice, and to help you practice, on the Canvas site I have added a sheet that shows the hand signs so you could practice at home if you want, or you could replay the parts of this video. Let's do it one more time, up and down, and then we're going to try a simple pattern. See if you can follow along with me. Don't worry if you don't have everything perfect right now. It won't be perfect. And if you're worried about making too much noise, don't worry about that either. Just sing loud and proud. Here we go. Do, there's our first note. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Back down. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Good. Let's try a little pattern. See if you can repeat after me. Watch this. Do, re, mi, re, do. You try it. Good. One more. Do, re, do. Your turn. Cool. How'd that feel? As long as you practice, you'll pick that up in no time. Make sure that you're singing and doing the hand signs. The best way to learn it is to jump in with both feet and give it a try. All right, everybody, up on your feet. It's time for a little movement. We've been sitting down enough today. We're going to play a game called Maestro Says. A maestro is the conductor, the leader of all the musicians. So I'm kind of your maestro for the day. And I'm going to play you as you were my orchestra. It's kind of really like Simon Says, but I just gave it a musical name. And we're going to do some musical things. If I say, Maestro Says, draw a whole note in the air, then you should do that. If I don't say Maestro Says first, don't get caught doing something you're not supposed to do. It's just a fun way to give us some movement and practice a few cymbals. Here we go. You ready? We'll start. We'll shake it out because you're going to need to be thinking, so I want you to get the wiggles out. All right, ready? I'll go easy on you at first. Maestro Says, clap 4 beats. You just kind of do it like that. Then I'd say maybe, Maestro Says, draw a half note. Empty head, stem. Good. Pat yourself on the head. Did I say Maestro Says? No, so you shouldn't do that. Here we go for real. Maestro Says, jog in place. Maestro Says, clap 3 beats. Clap 4 beats. Oh, did I get you? Maestro Says, draw a whole rest. Maestro Says, draw a quarter rest. Z, C. I feel like Zorro. Draw an 8th rest. Oh, You didn't do it, did you? Maestro says, stretch really tall. Maestro says, do some arm circles. Do the running man. Oh, I didn't say Maestro says, plus Miss Cash can't do the running man. Maestro says, draw an eighth note. Stand, play. How'd you do? Just wanted to get you up and moving a little bit today and hope you enjoyed a little Maestro Says. Well, that's it for today. I'll see you next time, and until then, here's another inspirational quote. Bye-bye for now.
I can't bear the thought of a day without music.